Welcome, friends, to the second section of this essay, Water, the Elixir of Life. In this section, the writer explains that water can be beneficial and at the same time it can be harmful if not used judiciously. Friends, what happens when it rains very heavily? Rainwater can carry a large amount of topsoil, and this topsoil is called silt. You must have seen rainwater. What is the color of rainwater? It looks muddy. When it rains very heavily, this swiftly flowing water can carry large and heavy particles as well as fine particles. Large and heavy particles can be carried over a very small distance. On the other hand, the small and fine particles can be carried over long distances. You would be surprised to know that the number of fine particles is too great. It is almost overwhelming. It's quite natural that large amounts of solid matter can be transported from one place to another through water. Now, what happens when water accumulates or gathers at a place? These particles called silt, they settle down. And wherever this silt gathers, that becomes a very fertile place, a place where the production of food grains can be very satisfactory. We can get a large amount of production. So what we have understood from here? Water plays an important role in making land fertile, obviously. The writer says water can also prove very destructive. How it can prove very destructive? And I have already told you, when it rains very heavily, the topsoil is carried away by rainwater. This topsoil is very essential for agriculture. Now, if this topsoil is washed away, obviously agricultural production will be hampered. It can wash away the topsoil, which is very important for agriculture. So if water is allowed to flow freely, it can cause soil erosion. And if there is soil erosion, there can't be any agriculture. Now, let's discuss how soil erosion occurs and what can be done to stop it. I have already pointed out that flowing water can wash away the topsoil. Now, in the beginning, little amounts of soil is washed away. But with the passage of time, over a period of time, as you have more rain for a long period of time, gullies or ravines are formed. What are gullies and ravines? These are channels or tracts where water passes, where water flows. Now, if there is a sudden heavy rainfall and water gushes down at a great speed, terrible speed, soil erosion is bound to occur. Now, there are some other factors also which contribute to soil erosion. Now, slope of the land is one of them. The first one is heavy rainfall. It rains very heavily over a very small period of time. The second one is the slope of the land. If the slope is gradual, now it is obvious there will be less amount of soil erosion. But in the mountainous areas, you must have seen the slope is quite steep. So if the slope is steep, more soil is washed away. And the third point is Removal of natural protective coat of vegetation. In other words, cutting down of trees or the green cover or something that we know as deforestation. So if we cut down trees, rainwater, the roots of trees hold on to the topsoil tightly. Now if there is no green cover, what will happen? Soil becomes loose and it is easily washed away. Next one is the existence of rods or channels or tracks in the ground through which water can flow rapidly, very fast. More amount of water, when it rains very heavily, more amounts of water passes through these rods, these channels. The next point is the absence of any checks to prevent the flow of water. So from all these points, you must have marked one thing. The speed of flow is very significant in causing soil erosion. Now, if somehow this speed can be curtailed, if it can be checked, then less amount of soil erosion will occur. So let us find out how we can prevent soil erosion. We have already said why soil erosion should be prevented. I have already pointed out that soil erosion, where there is soil erosion, agricultural productivity hampers. Now, we have to prevent soil erosion if we want to increase or augment productivity. Now, what should be done? We must go for terracing of the land. Now, terrace farming is a method of farming whereby steps known as terraces are built onto the slopes of hills and mountains. I have already pointed out. Now, mountain sides are very steep, and if it rains very heavily at the top, then water gushes down, flows down at a terrible speed. And when water flows down at a terrible speed, it carries a lot of topsoil along with it. So if steps are cut into the forest, these steps are called terraces, then the flow of water will be checked, the speed of water will be checked to some extent, and this can prevent soil erosion to some extent. So in the hilly regions, in the mountainous regions, my dear friends, you must have marked people adopting terrace farming. And then construction of bunds, dams to check the flow of water. This is another thing. If water settles down, if water stops at a place for some time, then whatever silt it carries settles down. So this is another thing. And the third one is the most important: planting of appropriate types of vegetation. Which types of plants are to be planted and where, so that soil erosion can be prevented. So my dear friends, we have discussed about how water can be beneficial and how water can be destructive if we do not take adequate steps. Thank you very much. The concluding part is there in section 3. Thank you.